Good morning, students. Myself, Major Komal Katyal, Department of Zoology, GK Gowani, Government College, Bhinmar. In continuation of lectures on Physiology of Digestion, today we will discuss the part 3 in the series, which will include the digestion taking place in the intestine and the role of accessory glands like liver, gall bladder, and pancreas. So let's begin our lecture from the duodenum portion. Duodenum, as I told you in my previous lecture, is the first section of small intestine. It is the smallest part of small intestine, and the acidic chyme from the stomach reaches the duodenum and it mixes with the digestive juices from one, liver, second, the pancreatic juice from the pancreas, and the intestinal juice from the Brunner's gland. Now, if you look at the diagram, you can see the bile is coming directly from the liver, as well as some amount of bile which is stored in the gall bladder is also comes through common hepatic duct. Secondly, the pancreatic juice, which is coming from the exocrine portion of pancreas, is known as the pancreatic juice, and this is entering the duodenum portion. Apart from it, the Brunner gland also secretes the intestinal juice or the succus entericus. Now let us first discuss about what is bile juice. सबसे पहले हम बात करेंगे पित्त रस के बारे में जो यकृत तथा पित्ताशय से स्रावित होता है. The chemical composition includes approximately half to 1 liter per 24 hours, with pH is alkaline from 8 to 8.6, and the water content is approximately 89%, while the solid are 11%, which includes mainly the bile salts and the bile pigments. The bile salt includes the sodium glycocholate and potassium taurocholate, which are basically responsible for emulsification of fat. The bile pigments, the bilirubin, which is the bright yellow, and the biliverdin, which is green colored. Cholesterol is 0.8%, the lecithin 0.3%, and inorganic salts and iron include 0.5%, which are chloride, carbonate, phosphate, sodium, potassium, calcium, and sodium hydrogen carbonate or sodium bicarbonate. The main function of bile includes first the emulsification of lipids, lowering the surface tension of water. Apart from it, it also facilitates the absorption of fat-soluble vitamin, which are vitamin A, D, E, and K. Bile pigments are basically the waste products of hemoglobin. The mucus, which acts as a buffer and lubricant. Cholesterol and lecithin are basically the excretory product. Inorganic salts and ions are used to change the medium of chyme to alkaline, and there is removal of certain drugs and toxic copper, zinc, and mercury along with the bile juice. The second one, the pancreatic juice, which is released from the exocrine portion of the pancreas, approximately half liter to 0.80 liter per 24 hours, and specific gravity varies from 1.008 to 1.03. The water content is 98.5% and pH 7.5 to 8. It means its pH is also alkaline. The inorganic substances include sodium, potassium, calcium chloride, biphosphate, sulfate, zinc, and bicarbonate ions, while the organic substance include trypsinogen, which is the precursor of trypsin, chymotrypsinogen, which is the precursor or inactive form of chymotrypsin, carboxypeptidase A and B, aminopeptidase, amylase, maltase, sucrase, lipase, polynucleotidase, DNase and RNase, and cholesterol-esterase. These are the name of enzymes which are present in the pancreatic juice. Their main function include conversion of peptones proteases to small peptide chains, conversion of starch oblique glycogen to maltose, maltotriose and limit dextrins, and emulsified fats to fatty acid and to monoglycerides, and small peptide chains to more smaller peptides. So mainly the function is digestion of macromolecules, while third one is the intestinal juice. Approximately 1 to 2 liters intestinal juice is released per 24 hours or per day with a pH of 8 and water content is 98.5%. Inorganic substance, which is 1%, include again the sodium, potassium, calcium, chloride, phosphate, magnesium and bicarbonate, while organic substance, which are 0.5%, include mucin for lubricating the surface, keeping it moist, the introkinase, aminopeptidase, dipeptidase, sucrase, maltase, lactase, lipase, polynucleotidase and nucleosidase, the alpha limit dextrinase, entropeptidase, phospholipase and phosphatase. These are all enzymes responsible for converting macromolecules into micromolecules. So main function of intestinal juice include conversion of smaller peptides to amino acids, conversion of disaccharide and dextrins to monosaccharides like glucose, galactose and fructose, breakdown of nucleotides to nucleosides, and then nucleosides to separate the nitrogenous base and phosphate plus sugar, conversion of organic phosphates to free phosphates, and breakdown of emulsified fats to fatty acids and glycerols, breakdown of phospholipids to fatty acid, glycerol and phosphoric acid. Again the function is hydrolysis through enzymes. All these three juices, as I told you earlier on, are responsible for digestion of food stuff in the duodenum portion of the small intestine. And this figure also shows that bile coming from liver and gall bladder via cystic duct coming to the common bile duct, and this common bile duct then attaches with the pancreatic duct, and there is formation of hepatopancreatic duct or ampulla which enters the duodenum. To prevent the dangerous chyme from acting on the duodenal mucosa, they convert the medium from acidic to alkaline, as well as they are responsible for making a suitable medium for the action of various types of proteolytic, sugar splitting or lipolytic enzymes. Now let us discuss about the large intestine, which has ascending and descending colon portion. Now first about its length, it is smaller than the small intestine, approximately 1.5 meter long, but has more diameter than the small intestine, and hence the name is the large intestine. It does not absorb much amount of food material. It is divided into the last portion up to rectum, which is basically responsible for storing the feces before expelling or before egestion of the undigested food material. The large intestine is responsible for fermenting the carbohydrate through bacterial digestion, which generally takes place in those mammals which basically feeds on roughage or green vegetables. It absorbs more water and concentrate the waste material, as well as it is responsible for mucus coating over the feces. Now the function: reabsorption of water. Up to 9 liters of water every day in the digestive juices is used, and more than 90% of this water is reabsorbed in the large intestine. If not enough water is absorbed, it results in diarrhea. Too much water is absorbed, it will result in constipation. Solid materials pass through the large intestine. These are undigestible solid or fibers, the roughage of human diet. Water is absorbed. Vitamin K and B are reabsorbed with the water, and rectum, the solid waste, are stored before they exit from our body through defecation. Now let us discuss about the vermiform appendix, which is basically a part of cecum of the herbivores. In our body, the cecum is present only as a vestigial organ, and this vestigial organ is known as appendix or vermiform appendix. The location is very clearly shown here in this diagram, beginning from the right side, that where the vermiform appendix is located, and clearly it is mentioned in the slide that it is the vestigial organ in human being. Now let us discuss about the accessory organs, the glands, which are not the part of the food pipe or the alimentary canal, but play a critical role, which includes liver, gall bladder, and pancreas, which we have discussed earlier on. But let us continue first, beginning from the liver. Liver directly affects the digestion by producing bile. We have already studied about the various functions of the bile, that it helps to digest the fat. It filters out the toxin and waste, including the drugs and alcohol and poisons. It is responsible for glycogenesis, which is the synthesis of glycogen from glucose. It is responsible for carrying out gluconeogenesis, that is synthesis of glucose from non-sugar substances. Lipogenesis, it means synthesis of lipids. Transamination and deamination. Transamination is shifting of amine group of the amino acid, while deamination is removal of amine group from the amino acid. Hemopoiesis, storage of blood. Synthesis and storage of vitamins, especially vitamin A, D, and K, and it is also responsible for the heat production. It is the largest gland of our body. Now, the gallbladder. The gallbladder is basically responsible to store the bile which is released from the liver, and it stores the bile before it goes to the small intestine, more precisely to the duodenum portion. The fatty diets can cause more gallstones in the gallbladder. Now let us discuss about the last of the accessory gland, that is the pancreas. अब हम बात करेंगे अग्नाशय के बारे में. The pancreas is responsible for releasing the digestive enzyme to digest fats, the lipases, carbohydrate, amylases, and proteins like trypsin, which are present in the pancreatic juice, and this pancreatic juice is released from the exocrine portion of the pancreas. As we also know, the pancreas performs the endocrine function. It has alpha, beta, and delta cell. The beta cell are responsible for releasing insulin, and this insulin is the anabolic hormone. And then comes the glucagon, which acts exactly opposite the insulin, converts glycogen to glucose, responsible for glycogenolysis. And then the gastrin, which is also secreted by pancreatic cell apart from the stomach cells. This finishes our lecture on physiology of digestion, in which we have studied about the digestion taking place in the intestine and role of accessory glands like liver, pancreas, and gall bladder. Thank you.